Welcome to Raw Take, everyone, the lifeline to your unfiltered media experience. Before we start the show, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're on Facebook, like, comment, and share. I'm your host, Gion Thomas, and this is my co-host, Archie, and this is the Monday live stream. And we have special guest, Miss Monica Rawlins, candidate for 328th District Court Judge. And today we'll be discussing the abortion ban that recently was just enacted in Texas, abusing the system, and community engagement and relatability to the community. But before we start the show, Ms. Monica, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, thank you so much to you and Mr. Archie for having me. It's a pleasure to be on such an awesome show. My name is Monica Rawlins. I am a candidate for the 328 District Court here in Fort Bend County. I have been in practice as a family law practitioner for 20 years, practicing in all aspects of family law, everything from adoption, custody, interstate proceedings, you name it, I probably have done it. Child support, I've had several bench trials, multiple bench trials actually from beginning to end, multiple mediations. I've had a jury trial. I've just kind of done quite a bit in family law, and I love it. I'm in love with family law, and I want to bring that passion for family law to the bench on a 328 District Court.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Now that's not 328 District Court. That's the professional part of it. But what I find more importantly, I am a Christian, and I have engaged in community service since probably my teenage years, and it's only strengthened and increased over the years. Everything from visiting at the Houston Food Bank, going to the Beacon Homeless Shelter, serving as Meals on Wheels with Interfaith Ministries, serving the seniors, doing prison ministries at my former church. I mean, just quite a bit. I believe strongly in community involvement.
And, you know, that's one of the things that we talk about here on the show. We talk about activists, people who are active in the community, people who are not just, just going to show up every time there's election. We need people who are boots on the ground, who are already in the community, helping out, feeding the homeless, helping out in the church. I mean, that is great things. And we need people like that to run for office. And, that's one of the things. That's why we give a lot of, we give platform to people like that, because that's one of the things we wholeheartedly believe in. We believe in people who are heavily active in the community, spearheading and running for office. And so it's a pleasure to have you on, Miss Monica. So let's talk about the recent abortion ban that was just enacted here in Texas and how that's affecting so many women. And let's just kind of have a discussion about that and the future it can lead into, and how that can also maybe affect the courts.
Okay. It's unfortunate, and it's almost sad. I believe it's to be such an overreach into a woman's fundamental right to say what she wants to do with her body. It's just quite disturbing, if I can put it mildly. Mm-hmm. The way it's structured, at 6 weeks, often you don't even know you're pregnant. And I'm sure y'all have probably heard, maybe not heard women say this before, but at 6 weeks, some women, not to be, grotesque or you don't even, sometimes you still have your cycle. And so you may not even know that you're pregnant, and about time you realize that you would be beyond 6 weeks. It would not necessarily affect my everyday court experience if I were elected to the bench. However, in Texas Family Code, Chapter 33, there is a provision, and that's Chapter 33, where people under the age of majority, under the age of 18, they can petition a court through an attorney ad litem, and then a guardian ad litem is appointed to represent them if they would like to seek judicial approval for an abortion absent parental approval. So I could see it affecting them, because being so young, they certainly wouldn't know. But to me, it's quite disturbing. You have rape, incest. You have other factors that come into play as well. Financial hardship, and that sounds like that's so cold when you're talking about a life, but it's not, because what kind of life, what quality of life can you give a child being born into a poor situation? And when I say poor, that doesn't mean money all the time. It could be an unstable environment. It can be, a situation where there's genetic problems with the child that have been passed on from mom and dad. There are a number of factors that play into a woman's right to choose why she should get an abortion. And I just don't think the government or anybody else should have say in whether or not a woman should get an abortion. That's something that's so fundamental and something so sacred for a woman to decide it needs to stay with the woman. But in regards to the bill, let me add this. It's even more disturbing for me that someone who may not even know how far along you are could be subject to civil liability. The fact that it's not even imposing, penalties on the person, on the patient itself, but on those who aid and assist in you getting an abortion, that's even more so troubling. They may think they're helping you out in a situation, and they're subject to civil liability from someone who is acting as a deputy on behalf of the government, because the government simply can't do it. So it's very troubling, and I think we're going to get ourselves out of this situation. I sure hope so. I think we have the leaders in place now that's pointing us in that direction to get out of this situation.
Yeah. Like you said, it is very disturbing. They have basically created a bounty system, basically turning people into bounty hunters for helping women look for just medical care. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's medical care for them, and it's their choice. It's sad that like you said, it's just sad that it has even come to this. And I just think about, I wouldn't want no one to tell me like what I could do with my body. And so I always try to put people who talk about this, or who are like, I guess, quote unquote, pro-life. I always try to tell them, what would you want? Would you want someone to tell you what you can and cannot do with your body? And then at the end of the day, if you're pro-choice, then you have your baby. I don't think it's for anybody to tell someone else what you can and cannot do.
Right. And if I could add, what about, let's just be real. You really wouldn't know what you would do in any given situation until you're in it. But something so life-changing, something so challenging, something so serious, often these young ladies, and even older ones for that matter, you simply don't know what you would do. So to have somebody who has no stake in helping you once the baby gets here, in fact, the same person that might say, you don't need to be on welfare, you don't need assistance, to get diapers, you don't need assistance for housing, you don't need assistance for clothing, but they want you to have the baby. Those two positions are just diametrically opposed. It doesn't make sense to me. It's just not practical. And so I often say to people, I don't like to judge people because you don't know what you'll do until you're actually in that situation. But what I can say is, for those who want to judge people in that situation and try to force them into it, well, then maybe you need to have some resources available to them, waiting for them, so that you can help them through this difficult time, as opposed to telling them what they should be doing with their body. And I just strongly believe that.
Yeah, and a lot of times women don't even get fraternity leave. So, I mean, it just makes it so much harder. So you want women to have babies, but you're not going to help them if they need financial assistance. You're not going to even give them the leave. You're not going to even give them that leave so they can even have a healthy baby. Working for long hours on your feet when during a time of pregnancy, you need a lot of rest. Right. You have something growing inside you. So, just like you're talking about, the system is like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Mm-hmm. It just kind of places you in a corner. And then, you just have these men, I'm gonna just call it for what it is. You have men making laws on women's bodies, and it's just totally wrong.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And again, I think everybody should have their own say in what happens with their body. But it's a really big problem when people force and try to just shove down your throat what they believe should happen, and they're not walking your daily walk. Yeah. So to me, it's almost hypocritical, because if you want to be extreme about it, if we just kind of let them in the door to say what we should do with our body, eventually we might get to a point where contraception may no longer be tolerated because you're stopping life. I mean, and I know that sounds ridiculous, but to me, you tell me what to do with my body is ridiculous. Yeah. So you just don't know what you're opening when you start, trying to force your beliefs on someone else. And as you stated, the men, nowadays, many men have stepped up to the plate, but we still have a problem, in our society where the women are kind of carrying that burden. So when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, the maternity leave that she may not get, well, that's on her. What are you going to do? Where are you going to stay? Can you get the prenatal care that you need? And yeah, we keep some of the programs in place. Yeah, maybe. But, I just would kind of hope that some people can stay in their lane. When it comes to a woman's body, I'm a believer in this is my body. Let me do what I want to do with my body. And you don't dictate what I do with my body. And I think for the most part, people make sound decisions for the most part when it comes to their own bodies.
I definitely do.
We hope so anyway.
Yeah, we hope so. We do hope so. But as you kind of said, I do find it troubling that some of the programs that are in place to help, single parents are being kind of chipped away at, Some people don't want them in place because it's too much of a quote unquote handout. People have placed a face on what the system looks like, and it's not necessarily the true identity of the system, but it's a face, if you know what I mean. And they put it on there and they call it abusive. And you're abusing the benefits that we're providing to you. And again, that face is always shown, but it's not always like that. And programs like SNAP, TANF, programs to get into housing, those programs are very much necessary, to help the people. Yeah, you have some abusers, but you have abusers at the corporate level. You have abusers at almost every level that you can think of. So I don't know why you want to pick on the family. Do we need to tweak the system? Absolutely. We need to tweak it. We need to adjust it. Whatever needs to be done, it needs to happen. But the thing about families, when you start touching families, a strong family will make a strong community. Mm-hmm. And then that's that domino effect. So once you start saying, I'm going to snatch this away, have the baby figure it out, you're kind of making the community as a whole go down. So I just think we need to do better when it comes to things like this.
Exactly. And you said something very important there. The corporations will take so much, they take millions and billions of dollars, trillions of dollars. Mm-hmm. And, the woman or the man on the corner, they might, quote unquote, get over on the system by a couple of $100,000. And then they want to point the finger at those poor people, the people who actually need it. And you got the bandits running out the back with all the cash.
Right. That's absolutely correct. That's true. That's absolutely correct. And I think at some point, when you look beyond the pro-choice and pro-life, it just becomes, where's your humanity? And then I think we just need to get back to the basics, talking about humanity. But your original question about what I think about what the governor has done, I think it's horrible. It's just horrific. And it infringes on my right as a woman and what I may or may not want to do. It infringes on all women walking around, the very ones that's protesting pro-life. Like I said, you don't know what you're going to do until you're in that situation. You have no idea. And from my understanding and reading what's been passed, is it'll cover medical emergencies, but it does not cover rape and incest. And that's horrible. That's just absolutely horrible. That it would not cover rape and incest. Incest by itself heightens the number of maybe a genetic problem because you're being predisposed to it because you're having a baby with a family member possibly. There are so many ifs, ands, but what if, that goes along with this to make a blanket decision. It's just heartless and it just doesn't make good sense at all.
To me, that is the most asinine thing in the world, that you would not for rape and incest. I mean, and especially in Texas, when I looked at the numbers, Texas is one of the highest places with rape. So you're not. It's just this policy is not for women. It's such against women. it's ever since, ever since we had the bad orange man, it's just like things have just like totally regressed. It's like it was like mask off for America, and I tell people that so much. Trump really revealed like what this country really is, and he made it comfortable for people like that. And so now you just see all these people are just, they are comfortable with their hate and bigotry and hatred for women, hatred for minorities, hatred for Black people, hatred for Hispanics,
other countries.
Other countries. I mean, it's like the hate is just flowing.
Yeah, but what I say in response to that, I'm almost a little thankful for it, because now I see who you are. You come on out the closet. You feel empowered. Somebody gassed you up, and now I can see you for who you really are. So people with little cyber fingers got to type, and they being ugly behind the internet, or just in general, just being ugly. So this is who you are. People can only bring out what's there. You can't bring out something unless it's there. So thank you for that much, because now I know who I'm dealing with.
Exactly. Yeah, come bring them out to the forefront. Let me know who you really are. That cloak and dagger stuff. Smile in my face and stab me in the back later. We ain't got time for that. So Ms. Monica, that is truly very true. But
yes,
moving on, let's talk about abusing the system and how that goes in the court system, and maybe how that goes on like the family court level, or something like that.
Do you mean abusing the system in the sense that like benefits that people can receive?
Yeah, let me say something real fast on that, Gion. There's people that, even some people I know that that takes the system, like the different help programs, such as like SNAP. I think it's called SNAP, Lone Star, Lone Star. And people have kids. I know some people that have kids just to abuse the system. Go and get a job and work just long enough to be able to file a tax return, and then have these kids. So to some people, like, children are just a number, like a dollar sign to them, and that's really sad for them to abuse the system that's set in place for people who really need it. And so that's the aspect that I want to hear you speak on.
Yes, sir. And I thought that's what Mr. Gion was saying too.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And and I'll take it a step further. I've seen some people, and it's not always. It's always a bad few, But I've even seen some people selling their food stamp cards, or selling to get real money for their benefits and things like that. Yeah. I think that definitely, to me, is an abuse of the system. And some people, as you stated, they may have children and they don't really have to work because the benefits are great. I would hope that would be, and I believe, not hope, but I believe that would be more of the exception than the rule. I think that a majority of the people out here need the assistance. I think that a majority of the people need housing because maybe life happened. But I think we need to probably fix the problem. Maybe it needs to be, I'm not really sure how all of it works, but maybe we need to put some regulations in place to make sure we're actively seeking employment. And I think they do something similar to that already. Maybe we need to put some things in place to where you're not able to just go out and sell your food stamps. Somebody wants to use them. Maybe it needs to be some type of an identification system in place. I think that there's room for growth. I think there's room to improve the current system. But at the same time, I can't help but go back to the face of abuse always comes back to, the food stamps, the TANF, things that our young folks often need. And the face of the abuse system, as far as I'm concerned, also looks like the corporation, and it looks like somebody found a loophole in the tax code. So I think as a whole, we need to fix several of the systems that are out there. And you bring a very good point up, and that would be including, TANF and food stamps and making sure nobody's abusing the system, taking advantage of the system. But we need to do it on all fronts and not just on one. But I absolutely agree that there is some abuse taking place, and it needs to stop. But if they can't help themselves, whoever they may be, whether it be those little tax people, or whether it be the corporate folks, or whether it be the everyday folks that say, hey, I'm liking the way I'm living, and I'm just going to keep on doing this, well, then we need to help them stop, And when I say help them stop, we need to kind of close some of the loopholes that we have. And if that means, tightening the rein on some things, then that's what we have to do. But to do away with the system, absolutely, I can't agree with at all, because I think a majority of the people, they need the help. They need the free services that are available to them. They even have scholarships for some single mothers. We can't get where we need to get without education and without some help sometimes. Yeah. So I'm 100% behind programs to help single mothers and fathers, and even those married people that had hit hard times. Some people just need that help, and that's what we're supposed to be: compassionate, all American. Let's help them get on their feet, and then basically kind of weaning them off of that assistance, if you will.
Yeah. I think you make a really great point. I think, with having these programs and systems, and if we really want to wing people off, we got to have jobs. We got to have opportunities for people to be able to wing themselves off. And I think that's something that we don't have any jobs here in America. I mean, and we do have growing jobs. You can go Uber or you can go do that, but we've shipped all of our manufacturing jobs, all of our labor jobs all around the world. And those jobs used to be, I remember my grandfather used to always talk about how we was shipping all our jobs all over the world, and how the jobs are just leaving. And that's under any administration, because, the abuse of the system. And like you're talking about, Ms. Monica, they always try and make it like they always try and talk about, they point at the little guy while they steal the money out the bag, and they running out with the loads of it. And so you like you said, those people are the exception. They are not they are not totally representative of the system.
I really want to believe that, and I hope that's the case. I believe that's the case.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely correct. We need jobs. I think we need to make resources available to people who need it. And I think that's what even the court system needs to make resources available to people that need it. You have issues with people who have a history of, a criminal history, having a difficulty in finding jobs. And there are some programs specifically for felons, and some people just simply don't know, Yeah. And I think we need to make those resources available to them. We need to let them know this is what's here for you, because some people really want to work and they just can't. It's like, I just can't get there. Some people really want to work, and you got kids, and you'll spend your whole paycheck on daycare, So it's like it all kind of plays a role together when we're talking about some of the programs. And once we can get the jobs, get the education, and also I'm really into now teaching our young folks how to make it and make smart money decisions. I know generational wealth is a big thing for everybody now, and it's so important. It really is. I think that, somebody sat me down and told me, don't go get a whole bunch of credit cards when you're getting college, because that's the first thing you're doing is throwing credit cards at you. You wouldn't find yourself in some of the situation you may be in 10 years later, So I think that we really have to change our focus from just like giving, and I don't mean a handout, I mean just giving without showing them the way. It's one thing to give somebody and assist and offer the help that they may need, but if we don't show them or give them resources, we're kind of in the same place that we began.
Yeah. How that saying go? If you give someone a fish, they'll eat for one day, but if you teach them how to fish, they'll eat forever.
Yeah, they'll eat for a lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like that. That's absolutely true. So yeah, so I think that and that's one of the things, like I said, bringing it back to the court, that I think the courts can do. And the courts have a lot of power. That's one thing I thought about in terms of when I'm out here doing community service on the side and running my law office on the side. Two different things. You can bring them together. You know, you can assist people with free legal clinics, or you can assist people with showing them how to do a will. You can assist people with showing them where they can go to look for. It's Suicide Prevention Month. Let's put out some links to show them this is somebody you can talk to. You know, in our community, we don't really talk about that so much, but it's something that's very necessary. I mean, so I think I'm just from the show me state. It's like, let me show you what you can do. And I think if elected, the people are expecting somebody to get on the bench that will help the community and not just have a revolving door of, oh, you're back again. And you still having problems with your teenager. No, you're back again. Did you try what I told you to try? How did that work for you? If that didn't work for you, let's try this program. You know, things like that. So I think it's just so important for us to do things like that. For being as a diverse community, the county is the most diverse in the nation. And there are a number of needs that need to be met. You know, everything, I mean, just be real, cultural. You know, everybody has a different set of needs that need to be met when you're dealing with diversity. And I think we can address that if we put our heads together.
Exactly. Perfect. I love that you're very active in the community and that you provide all of those services for people in the community, because a lot of times you gotta have money to get any kind of legal advice or any kind of help in general. And so the fact that you are out there giving your time and not just like most of the politicians, most of the mainstream politicians who just come out every once in a while when it's election time, but you're actually
don't care about the people.
Yeah, those people don't care about the people. The people who are with the people, who are on the ground, talking to them, helping them out, giving their time, giving their resources to help uplift them. That's what we need, and that's one of the things that have gotten away from politics. And I talk about that all the time, because just the money aspect. You can buy people, and that's why I understand how important it is for you to have campaign funds, but I think that needs to be something funded by the government. The government needs to fund that, because it just takes away that corporate aspect, that big donor money aspect, because we all see it. We all see the money coming in, and then the ads start coming in, and then they start getting access, and you're like, well, what's going on? How you done? They done sprouted up, and they done shook hands with the right person, and now they in somebody's back pocket, and then nothing ever happens, and then the cycle continues. But,
I can see. I think some people may have their hands tied too, and I don't want to really touch that too much, but I think some people, maybe they get into whatever office they may hold, and they're limited, pardon me, on what they can do. I'm just going to take that approach for some of them. It's easy to say you're going to do something, and when you get in, you can't. You thought you were going to be able to do it, and then you can't.
Yeah.
And then there are all those who don't really care much for the community. Exactly. It's a prop. You see them around election time probably, or you can see when they're not really comfortable and out there being in the streets. You can kind of pick up on some people.
Yeah.
That they're not really genuine community-driven people. And I'm not saying that you have to be out there every day doing something, but you should have a heart for your community that you're serving. The offices that are elected offices, you are a servant. And that's what you are, a public servant of the community. That goes for judges. That goes for just about every election. People put you in that spot for a reason. And it should not be to self-promote. It shouldn't be to puff your own chest up. It should be to kind of carry out what the citizens, for instance, of Fort Bend put you there to do. And that's to do your job and improve and keep going.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Monica, you were talking about resources in the court, and I want to know what resources can the court give out, especially in the family court.
Okay. So there are several courts, and actually, pardon me, in your Fort Bend court now, you have some judges really hit the ground running after this, past election. I'm not taking away from any other sitting judge. I only know about the ones I know about. So I'm not saying that the ones I'm not saying that there was nothing happening. But what I'm seeing with the newer move, you have judges implementing programs such as drug court, that may not have been there before.
Mm-hmm.
So important. We have an opiate addiction that people pay attention to, but we already had a drug problem. We know that. There was a crack cocaine problem. There was a heroin problem. There are some other problems out there, but the opiate addiction caught the eye of many. And if that's what we got to come under, that's what we'll do. But there is a drug court that was started in one of your Fort Bend County courts. I'd love to piggyback on the family side of that. There are some other courts in Harris, in other counties, they do, and I believe in Fort Bend that there's a court that does what they call girls' court. Human trafficking is a huge problem. It's not like it used to be. Here comes this big black van, and let's grab her and let's run. You're looking for it can be the neighbor down the street manipulating a young girl, and next thing you know, she's out there. They pull the friends. It's a different mindset. It's not necessarily the traditional view. And then I know some courts have started what we call, and I'm not sure if it's in Fort Bend or not, Veterans Court. There are just so many different programs that you can start, and you make the people accountable. When there's an issue, for instance, with drugs, and let's say the person is in CPS, has an open CPS case, and so you're in drug court, and you want to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing before they get their kids back. Drug court might help them get where they need to be, because the judges take a specialized training, and then they're going to make sure they're following their steps and meeting all the criteria and finishing plans. And, it helps them, but it helps the kids, and it helps everybody. I can't emphasize enough. I said it earlier, strong community, strong family, strong community. Those kind of programs can be implemented to help people. And I know Fort Bend has started doing that already. Harris has done it. Montgomery County has Veterans Court. You have judges that's newly getting on this bench, and they're like, I'm reaching out to the community, and I'm helping where I see that there's a need for help.
Yeah.
And I love it. I absolutely love it. The courts need to get the docket moving. We need to get the cases going. Some people's cases have been sitting forever. So we need to, still play. You still need to play your part. You're the judge. You're there to render judgment. I want to be clear about that, not pass judgment, but render it. And your case on case basis, you want to do that and get the docket moving and get your court in order and, get the court's integrity where it needs to be. People know it's not a system where, this attorney is standing in front of me, so I'm going to get preferential treatment, or maybe not so much preferential treatment because I don't care for them, or this litigant came before me and they don't look well put together. It's a lot of things that come into play when you go to court. But one thing I can say for sure, when you start implementing programs and you get that docket moving, you don't have a lot of time for all that unnecessary bias, system that may have been there before. Mm-hmm. So I just think that it's great that programs can be implemented into the courts. The court has wide discretion when making decisions, and they also have a lot of latitude in implementing programs for the community. They really do.
And you know what? I that's something I didn't even know. I didn't even know the courts could even implement programs like that. And so I bringing that knowledge to the community, letting like our listeners and people who will listen to this in the future, they will know like I can demand more from our judges. I can demand more from our court system. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just one of the things that's needed.
I can take advantage of what they have to offer, because like I said, there's a couple of courts in Fort Bend that I've learned, and it just makes me so proud to be a part of Fort Bend, period, as just a citizen, because they have put some things in place, and you could tell they really care about the community. It's not some I'm in a bench and business as usual. No, it's different, and you can see it. And I'm excited, and I hope to be a part of that one day.
Exactly.
It's very exciting.
So Miss Monica, we got a question from one of our listeners, from a Miss Jocelyn. She asks, where can you get a list of resources or programs that are available?
Hello, thank you. If Miss Jocelyn is speaking about the courts, I don't know if they're on their website. I'm not certain about how they put things out there and I know they have resources available to you, but sometimes you probably can Google it. But I know most of the programs, I don't know that it's open for the public. I honestly don't know how they run their own court. But if you're talking about aside from what the court may be doing, if you're asking about resources like suicide prevention or domestic violence, those are things you can get offline. And I actually will start posting some of them, the website and the links to those for some, but you can get them off of the websites. If you go like the Fort Bend Women's Center, you go to Houston Women Area, you go to some of these places, domestic violence, they'll post it. The suicide prevention programs, they'll post them. You can go online and find most of the programs. And you do want to see if they're in connection with the court system, because you want to make sure it's something that's reputable, or at least been around for a while. And so I believe that you can get those resources and programs that Ms. Jocelyn is talking about, most of them directly from some of the agencies that are out there. Like the Houston Volunteer Lawyer Program, I think they may have some things. There's some wonderful agencies here. I know Fort Bend Lawyers Care, they provide legal aid at a sliding cost to litigants that may not have much money. I did some pro bono work with them some years ago, and they're still in existence. Awesome program. Fort Bend Women's Center provide programs for women. It's a lot of things. More recently, it's called Family Promise, and they provide resources to those people who are homeless. It's not the traditional homeless. It's I don't have anywhere to live and I'm sleeping on somebody's couch. Well, that's homeless. And it's called Fort Bend Family Promise. And I had the pleasure of meeting some of them during my campaigning. And they actually, if you go to their site, they have some information, I believe, available. So it's out there. And I'm so sorry that I don't have the exact sites, but I will post some on my page as I get them. I do have a few, and I can post them.
And we'll also post those links in a description of the video a little bit later.
Okay, thank you. And I do want to put out there again, I'm kind of piggybacking, pardon me, off of some of the wonderful things that are kind of the wheels are going that Fort Bend has started. Not all courts on board, but you have a handful that are doing some wonderful things. And I'm just kind of piggybacking off what they're doing. They're doing some wonderful things in Harris and a couple other counties. And I think we just need to keep the momentum going. In the last couple of years, we have some new judges, and some of them are just doing a phenomenal job. I can't say that enough. And I just want to be a part of that. And I think once we start doing that, it'll kind of clean up the idea that people may have about the court system, because everybody didn't have a really bright idea of how, you're not trusting of it. But I think we're on a road, we're in the right direction. We're on a road to recovery, in terms of getting some things fixed down at the court and getting some things fixed in our community. We just got to do it together.
Yeah, and that starts with having the right people in the right places,
yes,
in the
sir.
right positions.
Yes, sir.
So,
and I know I've said some things that are probably lefty, but I want to be, if that's a word, but I want to be transparent. And I do want to be clear. Yeah, I do want to be clear. I'm pro-choice. If you hadn't caught on yet, I'm pro-choice. But let me be crystal clear. If there is a law in place that's contradictory to any belief that I may have, you can best believe I'm going with the law. I refuse to deviate from what the law has mandated. So while I may have my own personal beliefs in some areas, if the law is clear and it's the law of the land, then I'm going to follow it.
Yeah. Let me say this: the only way I won't follow the law of the land is if they tell me that it's illegal to serve God.
Absolutely.
Elizabeth with that.
Yeah, hands down.
I'm going to jail.
We going to jail. Hey, we can preach in jail. Who did that in jail? That was Paul, right?
Yeah.
We'll be in there. Well, maybe we're gonna be in there together. But I hold down the women's side, and you can hold down the man's side. Okay.
Hey, let's get it.
That is something, because let me have a moment, a 10-second moment. I know where I am, and I have to thank my Savior. I know where I've come from, and I may smile. People say, "Oh, she seems happy." I am. I don't look like what I've been through. Okay, and for grace, where I am now. And people don't like to come out with that. They don't like to say that, but I have to give it where it's due. You know, it wasn't easy. I went to Madison High School, and it was a little rougher than it may be now. I'm not sure, because oh God, that was almost 30 years ago. But you know, and then I had trials coming through. I had issues. I'm a divorcee myself. I had all kinds of stuff going. You know, loss of loved ones, everything. And I had to rely heavily on my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ to get me through. And I've been in practice for 20 years, and I've been able to sustain my own practice. And that's not braggadocious. That's a testimony for me, because it's not always that case for everybody. So every move that I make it with, I'm like, Jesus, order my steps in terms of making me be successful. Whatever you have me to be, that's what I want to be. So sorry for that. I took 20 seconds instead of 10, but I did want to get that out there, because when you brought that up, I need to make it clear. You know, he's done a lot for me. He doesn't do anything else. He's done enough.
I can totally attest to that. My life is, totally different than what, the quote unquote statistics are supposed to be. Single mother. I was born and raised in New Orleans. I went through Katrina. So like you said, just had a uphill battle. And so, yeah, all grace and glory to God. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a Black man, they're trying to make you an endangered species, just like my son. And just like Archie. And, no, our thing is that's just not happening. We decree today that is not happening. So I'm big on those things, and I have a very strong belief system when it comes to those things. Our Black men, my thing is hands off. Let them be the kings that they can be. Exactly. Let them do it. Give them what they need to do it. And they'll do it. Same thing for the woman. Let her be the queen she's born to be.
Absolutely.
Okay?
And we need that representation in court, because so many people, I feel like the old way, or I don't necessarily know, but I feel like the old way of judging was like, I need to do harsh. I need to, instead of like showing compassion and trying to uplift someone and giving someone the resources like we've been talking about throughout the whole entire show to uplift themselves, they try and punish. And I try, try and cast you down and belittle you and whatever I can do. And so just the fact that you're bringing that compassion to the court system, we really do hope, that things go well for you on your campaign trail.
Yeah,
thank you. And could I just really quick piggyback off what you just said? And this is probably not going to be, it's not going to be popular, but sometimes you have a uniform. We're numbered. You go to court. Child support cases are a very good example. And it's like, instead of giving every case on DNA, let me judge you on the merits of your case. Let me see what you're talking about. Number 206. And it's the same thing I heard yesterday. And it's a rush get through. And it's when you say compassion, that's true. But it's also, I have grouped you into this group of people because part of it is because I don't know you. And I'm not trying to get to know you. And when I say know you, I mean take me to dinner, Judge. I mean, there's a disconnect between the community and the bench. Exactly. And you're basing your judgment, you're passing judgment on me based on your own personal belief. And the problem that I have with that is because if you would take the time to go out there in the community, and it doesn't have to be, like I said, every day, just something to be in tune with what's happening. It may be understanding why I'm doing what I'm doing. You're telling me to go get a 2 and 3 bedroom apartment if I want custody of my kids back, and I got 3 months, but there's a waiting list at the place I can afford of 6 months. So it's just, there's a disconnect that I really, really hope and pray that we can get together that will help us get us to where we need to be. Some people need to be, you got to be firm with them because they don't understand any other way. But a vast majority of the people, that's back to the show me thing we were talking about earlier. We just got to show them this is how you do it, and how much time do you need, and is this in the best interest of the child, or is this equitable to the family, or is it, I just can't emphasize that discretion. I've seen it in 20 years of practice. I have seen the discretion used in a way that I just I don't necessarily agree with, because it seems like it was based on a personal belief because you're out of touch. Not because this person is bad, but because you just don't get me. You don't understand me. And so those are the kind of biases or the preconceived notions that I like to see change in the court system.
Yeah, unfortunately, with a lot, there's a preconceived notion about young Black men that, that we're uneducated, that that we're trying to steal, just all these negative connotations, when that's not even the half of it. I won't ever forget. I was 16 years old. It was my first day. I was about to go work at a church, and the guy, after the day of work, the guy kept on calling my mom and just giving her praises on how good of a job I did. And like he literally said, I expected him to come in there with a boombox. Like, what the hell? Who the hell comes into a church with a boombox?
Radio Raheem.
Yeah, like what? I don't even understand that. And so, it's just, and sometimes, when people, all they watch is Fox News, and you watch the movies, all those things paint Black people in a negative connotation, especially Black men, and especially, hell, Fox News demonizes Black people and women morning, noon, and night, and the minorities and the other. And so, when you have, Fox News is also the number one watch cable news station in the world. So wow. when you have that sets a narrative. And so you start to think, oh, all the Black people are like this, or all the brown people are like this, or all the minorities are
That's the uniform.
Like or, yeah, the uniform, exactly like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that's horrible, because it's so much more than that. What we're depicted to be on TV, or what we're thought to be. We have so many Black men sitting in jail that should not be there, and because of bias or because of poor treatment. I don't do criminal law, but I know enough to know that we have people sitting in jail right now that shouldn't be there, and they should have been out a long time ago. And it had nothing to do with what they did. It had more to do with who they are. And, and it's easy, let me just pin it on you, or, whatever the case may be. It's just so many things for us to do and to fix this system, whether it be on criminal, family, whatever. And I think we just need to do it. And I think the Black people need to rally together along with the other people. We can't do anything without our other sisters and brothers, whether it be white, Asian, we need everybody to get this done. But I am a huge supporter of getting, rid of that stereotype and getting rid of the idea that the Black man wears a uniform, he must be aggressive, or he got babies stashed away, he not taken care of, things like that. It's like the opposite. Nowadays, you can see a lot of men taking care of their children.
Exactly.
I think that and for those Black people, those of us who have our heads on right, we need to come up with some solutions or whatever to end the stereotypical ways that the system looks at us. But at the same time, we also need to end what causes that stereotypical aspect, which is some of our Black people, as y'all know, not all Black people have their heads on straight. Mm-hmm. And because we have the thugs and the the gangs and all this stuff are going on, we need to dig into our own community and clean it up.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And
Yeah.
and I don't think anybody is beyond redemption. I don't think anybody is too far gone, whether they in jail already or not, or out of jail or on the way. I just don't think they're beyond it. And like you two gentlemen, you know, well put together. And I know it may be difficult because sometimes you have the ones that are, you know, how some of our young men are, and they may not have that figure in their life like they should. So I'm very pleased to see, you know, people like you two, well put together and going in the right direction and care about the community. We just need more of it out there. And we have a lot of it I've been seeing in Fort Bend. I know some of the local churches and some of the community leaders, seem to be doing quite a bit with our young people. I think there's a lot more that can be done, as you stated, though.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, Ms. Monica, the church needs to be involved. We need to be more involved. Sometimes, in our own community, sometimes we get this crab in a barrel mentality, and we need to get rid of that. But I think the biggest factor to the Black community, or just any community being like demoralized or just not being told the truth about, I think it's the media. I think that is the biggest component, because the media likes to sell wolf tickets. So if I can sell a wolf ticket that all the Blacks are scary and hood and thugs, then they're gonna think that more like 9 out of 10 Black people are hood and thugs. I mean, I just look at myself. I mean, I wear a do-rag. I got, I just know some people may look at me before I open up my mouth and they're like, oh, they're judging. But as soon as I open up my mouth, they're like, oh, wait, what? You're articulate? What? You can string along a sentence? And to me, I just hate that stereotype, which is part of the reason why I look the way I look, because I'm fighting those narratives, because you should never, ever judge me just based off of how I look. Someone, maybe who may be a little bit lighter than me, they might have the shaggy hair, a little shaggy beard, but, they put on a suit and a tie, and that's fine. But, I may have my dreads may be a little shaggy, my beard, might be a little shaggy, and then, oh, well, I don't know, this guy might be homeless, he might be this, he might be that, it's just, or, just all these just misconceived notions. So
yeah, negative
negative. Yeah.
And I noticed though, like the rappers, have you ever heard some of them? Very intelligent. Some of the rappers, I mean, when I tell you some of the words come out of their mouth, and I'm like, oh, it's deep.
Well, I look at 1B. I mean,
yes,
classes yes.
You don't always have to have that 3-piece suit on. You can meet people where they are, everyday people. And I brought that up because a lot of them are very, very, very intelligent and business minded, and you brought Bun B up, and I think that's wonderful because, those rappers around Houston, a few of them I'm thinking of, they have done so much for the community. And I think that they are something that I would want my son to look up to in terms of being business savvy, in terms of being respectful too. So absolutely, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that.
Yeah.
And Monica, you said something very important. Meeting people where they are. That's very important, because and that's kind of how I look at like with the things you say that you're doing. That's an aspect of meeting people where they are. In a sense, because you never want to come off way up here and go, talk over people's heads or act like you're like above people because of the way they dress or anything like the way you may have heard them speak. Because even after that, you still don't know what's truly in that person's mind and heart. So it's just like, I can put on a suit and tie and go somewhere and it's Mr. Sir and all of that. I could put on a t-shirt and jeans and all of that changes. Why is that?
Right.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't.
But that's the world we live in, and you can't meet people where they are if you feel like you're way above them.
Exactly. I absolutely agree with that. And what makes you different from me or me different from you shouldn't dictate the level of respect that we have for each other.
Absolutely
Our differences are what makes us unique, you know. And so I try to meet the people where they are, and they might need to meet me where I am. You know what I mean? You know, because I just try to, you know, I know I'm country. And I got a little hood in me. I know where I am. So, but you know, but what I'm saying is I think we just need to be more respectful of the differences that we have in each other. And from there we can go. And Mr. Gion earlier, he said something about the crab mentality. And that's what's killing us. It's hurting us. If we can't get beyond that, we're just not going to make it to the next level as a people. Yeah. And so when you said that, I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, that's just you know, we had Miss Danielle from Sister Talk Podcast, and you know, we highly approach the teach one, reach one, you know, or reach one, teach one. That is like our main philosophy, you know, when we were talking, when we had her on the podcast, because you know, it's just like, you know, we got to just get out of that mindset of, you know, if I see somebody else doing better, you know, that's how so many young people in our community have gotten shot, killed. You know, I hate to bring up the stories over Jordans, but you know, I don't personally, I don't wear a pair of Jordans because it just causes too much strife. People have been shot over Jordans, and it's like it's a pair of shoes.
Right. Where do you think that comes from in terms of, you know, I always think, you know, to myself, where does that come from? Because my school of thought is if you live in a better neighborhood, okay, great, one of us made it. You know, somebody got it. You know, I'm thankful for what I have. But where do you think that comes from, the mentality that some of us have in terms of, you know, why does he get to have X, Y, Z? Why does he have the Jordans and I don't have them? Why does he have, you know, I always say, does that come back from the olden days?
Yep.
Of the house in the field? You know, I always kind of back the conversation up. But it's like, where does that come from? You know, why are we doing that?
That's exactly where it comes from. And then, you know, nobody likes to talk about the effects of slavery and how, you know, people be like, well, slavery not alive. Slavery, the effects of slavery are alive and well. And that's just a concept people just can't really get over, because, you know, a lot of some people just don't know. You know, they can't see that translation, that correlation.
Exactly.
But Ms. Monica, we have another question, and you know, we're gonna be ending soon. But before we get you out of here, we have a question. Miss LaWanda Thomas says, "Thank you for your community service. What does your first 100 days of your judgeship look like?"
Oh Lord, thank you, Miss Thomas. The first 100 days, if necessary, because I don't know what the docket necessarily is like at this point, but I like to get the docket in order. And there's some things I'd like to move specifically in this court. Like, for instance, in the 328, and for whatever reason, a judge, I'm not going to speak negatively of a sitting judge. I don't operate like that. But for whatever reason, they have you go to the presiding judge if your case ends in a certain number, and you go to even. I don't necessarily care for that. I want everybody to be accessible to the presiding judge if that's what they want to see. You can certainly make your objection, but I would just like to have it kind of the old-fashioned way. So I would want to kind of scale down on the docket in terms of what goes to who, and then see if we can organize certain cases to be heard specifically on certain days. Maybe move the trial date another day, because most counties have Monday. Some are starting to do Tuesday. But the first 100 days would try to get the administrative issues in order and try to see if I can get the court to run more efficiently. If we can get the cases that have been sitting there forever, that have not been resolved, if we can pull those up to the forefront and get those resolved. And then once we get those administrative matters in place and get the court to try to have the potential of running a lot smoother, a lot more like what I would do. And again, I'm not saying anything against that judge. More like what I would like to see happen. Then I would start reaching out to the different courts that we have in Fort Bend who are already doing phenomenal jobs. And I'd sit with them and say, hey, let's talk. What can I do to get my court up to par, up to speed? Then we're doing those things. Maybe we even have night court. Sometimes people sit in court all day for an uncontested matter that could take 10 minutes. I might say, you know what, on Tuesdays, I'm going to do 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. to get those folks that want to get divorced or something quick. I'm going to let them come in. Let's get this done so we can clear the docket up. I want to get the docket cleared up. I like to get some things in order how I'd like to see it fit. Before going to law school, I was a caseworker, so I had a large caseload. And then I've been in practice for 20 years. So it's some things in terms of flowing that I kind of think I could do that might work. And then I want to hit the ground running, getting some programs in place. And then all those things start working and operating at the same time. And I need the help. I need to enlist the help of the other judges that are being successful in those endeavors already. And then I need to get the community leaders to make sure those needs that we need met are being met, and can it be met if we do this program? You know, so I just want to hit the ground running, tennis shoes with a dress every day to see if we can get things going. But I'm so excited, and I will be honored to have the vote of each and every watcher of tonight's program. And I thank you too for having me. I talk a lot, if y'all couldn't tell by now. And so I'm a Leo. So we talk a lot, but I really, really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I'm humbled by that opportunity. I thank you.
Well, we are greatly appreciated for having you, Ms. Monica. I just think just the way that you're approaching this, you're thinking outside the box. You're bringing people together. You're bringing resources together, and you know, if you watch our show, that is one of the things we definitely harp on. We talk about how, you know, people within the system need to come together and work together. And I love like that's your vision. That's all. You're already talking it. You're already speaking it into existence. So we wish you luck on your endeavors in your campaign. We're going to have your links in the description so they can find you. If anybody wants to ask Miss Monica a question, they
absolutely
can definitely email her, contact her, so they can so she can definitely answer your questions. And so yeah, that is our show, everyone.
I'm so excited. Thank y'all so much. So I really thank you all a lot. And if you need anything, let me know in terms of, you know, if y'all are having a program or, you know, or just anything that you need behind the scenes. They ain't got to be in the front. Whatever you may need, let me know. And I absolutely will be there.
Definitely, Miss Monica. Definitely.
Okay.
All right, everyone. So that is our show. This has been the Monday live stream. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Get this video out. Y'all have a blessed day. Don't forget, you can find us anywhere where you can listen to podcasts. Y'all have a good day.